Welcome. You've come to a presentation on I Can't Read This, Making and Designing and Developing Accessible Education Materials. Barbara Welsford at the Assistive Technology Center in South Shore Regional Center for Education, and I'm the Assistive Technology Specialist for the region. This information that you'll see was gleaned from the aem.cast.org website and from the w3.org WAI website and Web3C, Web Accessibility Initiative. So I'd like to plant the seed, information that you see today and take away on developing accessible education materials. I'd like you to become the lead in developing the UDL mindset in your region, in your school board, in your community. I always like to review how I develop my presentations on with a UDL mindset. And now Google Slides and Google Meet now offers built-in closed captioning. I am presenting through Zoom, which now also has live transcripts, which is closed captioning. So that's what you see at the bottom of your screen. I develop all my slides with simplicity of the screens in mind. I provide verbal descriptions of each slide. I don't use transitions. They can be visually very complicated and become distracting for some individuals and take away from my all-important message. I always put alt text behind images. So those images when reviewing the slides with a screen reader, an individual can access the information of that visual representation. All videos have closed captioning assigned, and I also provide transcript of the audio provided. I provide slides ahead of time to the audience, and a summary of the text can be provided to any reader. If I'm doing a even face-to-face or virtual presentation, and someone requires ASL interpretation, I can hire someone in the community who is a sign language interpreter and have them available through a video window in Zoom, presented on a large screen or dedicated to their individual device. So they have access to the audio information as well as visual. I always jump to, at the beginning of all my presentations, an interactive activity, mainly in Mentimeter, where it's an interactive question and answer poll situation, and I can develop word clouds or they can develop word clouds in response to specific questions. I can also show video and get responses to that video that are relevant to the question in mind, and all sorts of other poll activities. And that's really to engage the audience. This is a video that I won't show, but it is a tremendous video on the why of making accessible education materials. And it's kind of a take on a classroom where all the participants are blind and visually impaired, and all the information is presented to the entire class in Braille format. And of course, this gentleman doesn't read Braille, and he requires his class-based information in regular text format. And it's all about his very, very troubling journey over many, many years to get the accessible content. So this video, which I won't show, but it is closed caption and available on YouTube, does hit home on why and who we need to provide accessible content to. So again, another reflection in the chat box, I would get the individuals who are participating in the presentation or class that I'm teaching to list what other students in your classroom would not benefit from access to Braille, and state how you might offer every student in your class access to course material. This is a little background on the accessibility legislation in Nova Scotia. So this hits home in this presentation when I'm presenting to EECD, which is our Department of Ed, and teachers across the province, and give some background on what's happening on building our accessibility legislation. And essentially what is happening is that it is law now that we need to be providing students, teachers, just about everybody, accessible education materials in every level of education, so they can access, learn, and engage and demonstrate their knowledge. This is a very nice, succinct video on designing for accessibility, and this is cross-platform and gives a really nice understanding, visual understanding, audio with closed captioning built in on exactly that. What exactly does it mean to design for accessibility? So why universal design and accessible education material? We all have to be open to diversity. It's just a standard in all our classrooms. We have to, be aware of who is in our audience and provide access to the information that we're offering, and be aware that some people, individuals, might not be able to see well or at all, hear well or at all, move well or at all, speak well or at all, or understand the information. So this is the site to refer to, a UDL AEM scavenger hunt. So I give this activity and they go to the Center for Special Education, Accessible Education Material link, which I provide in the chat box. And I ask them to search and locate the working definition of AEM, and search and locate and share 3 techniques for ensuring your text-based materials are accessible. And again, think POUR. So we will have reviewed POUR in the previous videos. So they'll have that basic information that they'll be able to refer back to. So the core steps needed for accessibility are the same regardless of whether your document is in HTML, Microsoft Word, Adobe Acrobat PDF, or another document format. All formats need to be accessible. So I go through the POUR basic steps: perceivable, so learners can hear and see content; operable across devices; understandable, so learners can understand the content; robust, that making sure that there's interoperability with assistive devices and across regular devices. So this is where I will demonstrate how to make accessible documents from our hard copy text, and I use my iPhone in Snapverter or Voice Stream Scanner, and I take a picture by actually sharing the screen of my phone and then of the document that ends up in Google Drive, and they can see it in action. Right? So that's very important. It's critical for teachers to see how easy it is to go from this inaccessible static format to accessible digital format. And really, it's a matter of 3 steps. They get very excited. I also demonstrate how to, again, with the share screen option, how to put alt text in Google Docs and slides. And these demonstrations as well, text to speech, immersive reader, which is free for all our teachers on their Chrome accounts, adding closed captioning to YouTube. They'll walk through on how to do that. And then I provide an exit activity, which really summarize what was your main takeaway, for example, and what can you take back to your students and your classrooms to be able to share and schools to share this information with your colleagues. And that is continuing and developing the UDL mindset. That's so important. And this section goes into preparing presentations, and it's a step-by-step walkthrough. So I'll leave it there for this assignment in Mike Marotta's Developing Accessible Content Assignment 3. And I'm trying to escape. Okay.